This is Kentucky Afield Radio. This is Ron Rohde, Kentucky Afield's first host back in 1953. Now, I'm proud to present Charlie Baglin.
Nights are getting cooler, days are shorter, it's fall. Summer fun is now in the rearview mirror, and it's now time for the good stuff. We go inside outdoors with Scottie Ellis with the Kentucky Department of Travel and Tourism to talk fall fishing, wildlife viewing adventures, festivals, tracking fall colors, and so much more. Opportunities for fall weekend getaways in good old Kentucky. Grab a jacket. It is all next on Kentucky Afield Radio.
Uncle Chuck, what is fall?
Fall means football, but excitement doesn't end there. This is when Kentucky's outdoors are just getting started. The Kentucky Department of Fish and Wildlife reminds you lakes and streams are alive with fall fishing. And for many, the biggest game of the season is white-tailed deer. Get your fishing and hunting license and get your game plan together. This fall, take aim on a winning season at fw.ky.gov. Helicopter rescue swimmer Mike Bayersky, United States Coast Guard.
Chances are the Coast Guard wasn't there when you went overboard. But when you wear a Coast Guard-approved life jacket, we're closer than you think. Closer when you jet ski, fish, tube, canoe, kayak. There for close calls, when help isn't close at all.
Kentucky conservation officers remind you your life jacket's got your back. And the backing of the best swimmers everywhere. Charlie Baglin here on Kentucky Afield Radio. And fall, to some, means summer's over. To others, though, it means fall fishing, hunting trips, fall festivals, football, and, of course, fall colors. Scottie Ellis is with the Kentucky Department of Travel and Tourism. She is my guest. And one thing I like to say, Scottie, is it's fall, y'all. Scottie, welcome back.
Thank you for having me.
Has been a season or two. We may have missed the summers. No, we didn't. You were here for summer.
Yes, I was here for summer, right before it got too hot.
Mm-hmm. We were talking about the barbecue festival from Henderson, where you're from.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So we had the big barbecue festival, the International Barbecue Festival in Owensboro, and then in Henderson we had the Blues and Barbecue Fest, which is a lot of fun. It celebrates W.C. Handy, the big blues player.
Absolutely. I've heard of W.C.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen his statue on Beale Street in Memphis.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I kind of get around, at least if it's barbecue-oriented, I'm there.
You're there, making it happen.
But we are talking to Scottie Ellis. She's the communications manager with Kentucky Department of Travel and Tourism.
That is correct.
I want to know what's going on fun in the fall. Should I be planning for a weekend? Or should I be planning a week vacation? What are the travel habits of folks come fall?
Well, fall is a beautiful time in Kentucky, so a lot of people from out of state will plan that longer trip. But for those around Kentucky, it's easy to get off for a weekend and take advantage of a 3-day little trip or a 2-day, whatever works best for you. And we're so lucky because there's a great spot just a quick drive away, no matter what part of the state you're located in.
I made a list of the holidays that fall in autumn. And there are a few. You got a 4-day weekend at Thanksgiving.
Mm-hmm.
There's Halloween, but you don't really get a day off for that.
Right.
There's Veterans Day, Columbus Day, Labor Day, which is still kind of summery.
Mm-hmm.
And was there another one? Fall break is what I'm thinking with school.
For
fall
schools.
break.
That's a big one for people.
So there you'll have 3 or 4 days that you can get out and play.
Yes, and the weather's so nice in the fall in Kentucky, you can't really beat it. And the colors are going to come out, so it'll be a good time to take advantage.
That'd be a good place to start. We're lucky in Kentucky to have 4 full seasons, unlike, say, Alaska or Key West, Florida, where we got a couple.
Mm-hmm.
But we have fall colors here.
Oh, we do.
When is the peak, and how can folks keep up with where to go to see the best colors?
So the peak is really that late September, October, early October time, and things start to change around then, and it becomes really pretty. One of the best resources for people to look to when they're wanting to get out and experience these colors is our state parks here at Kentucky State Parks. Of course, we have 49 state parks, but on the website, they have a coloration guide that you can go by, and you can see the typical colors that you'll see, the areas that you'll see them. That's a great resource for people who are really trying to make an adventure and take in these colors.
So you can look on the web.
Yes.
Of the state park website, and it will tell you where the status of the fall colors are at any given time in the fall?
Yes, that's true. And it tells you the status, where they are, and then it gives you some even neat little facts about them, like red maple. It says the leaves are 4 to 5 inches long with 3 to 5 lobes. I mean, just little neat facts. So especially for fall break when you're getting the kids out, if maybe you want to do some education while you're having fun, this is a great way, and they'll learn some new tricks.
You can sort of look at this website and plan ahead. Well, they're not peaking yet. The colors aren't at their most brilliant quite yet. But in 2 weeks, they'll sort of predict that, I trust.
Yes. So when you're planning ahead, this would be a good resource. It's up all year long, and so it's the perfect thing to use when planning your fall trip.
This is Kentucky Afield Radio, and hence we talk about nature a lot on this show, and hunting, fishing, boating. Fall fishing is a time of year that anglers look forward to, maybe even more than Christmas. Do you get much calls at your office for where's a great place to fish, maybe folks coming in from out of state?
You know, we do. We get a lot of inquiries about fishing. It's such a big thing for people who are interested in that area. And so we are really excited. This past summer, we had very high levels at Lake Cumberland. We've gotten a lot of calls, and those increase in the fall. We get a lot more around that season.
You might think that summer is the most traveled season. I'm going to guess that it is. But in Kentucky, what is the busiest time for tourism in this state?
Well, outside of Derby, that 3-day pocket where we're just flooded with people, fall is a big season for us, fall and spring, because the temperatures, they're cooler, the colors are coming, whether it's the fall oranges and reds or the spring's bright greens, but fall's a big one. Plus, it adds that type of feeling that you're looking for when you're coming to Kentucky, that southern feel, and then they've got the bourbon and the hiking, and then you can't beat the colors in all of the outdoor areas.
What is the most visited places? When people come to Kentucky in the fall, where do they go?
A lot of the outdoor areas are getting some big play in the fall. Eastern Kentucky is a great spot. A lot of people go to Red River Gorge and hike the Natural Bridge and take advantage of that area. But in addition to that, Central Kentucky really gets a lot of play. In that central kind of southern region around the cave, to hike the caves like Mammoth Cave or Carter Cave system, and they're getting those good temperatures for that, and it's a way for them to get out and about. So that's a big area then.
When I think fall, I think fishing.
Yes.
When I think fall, I think football.
Yes.
I think deer season. I think horse racing. I think Keeneland in October.
Yes.
Now, how much do these play into folks coming in from out of town? They want to do a lot of things. They want to take in a Louisville Cardinal game. They want to see the Eagles play over Moorhead or any of our great colleges. Or let's say UK. They'll come in for a game. And they also want to go to Keeneland. They start filling up their weekend really quickly. And we have a lot of people who come in and plan their trip around a big game. UK, for example, if you go over to the Kentucky Horse Park during some big UK football games, that campground there at the horse park is filled up with fans who have come in just for the game, but then they're taking advantage of the things going on around them, like Keeneland with one of the fall meets, for example, or they tour the horse park or go to Woodford Reserve and do a tour there. So you're absolutely right. Those games are a big fall thing that people look forward to, but they really do take advantage of the surrounding areas. That's great for the Kentucky economy. Is there a way to measure, is this Kentucky people traveling around in the state, or is it folks coming in from out of state?
So it's a mixture of both. A big area for us is when people stay overnight, when they're coming from out of the state or they're going across the state where they can't travel back home and they're staying in one of our hotels or bed and breakfast. But, we're a $12 billion industry for the state, and so travel and tourism really does make a big impact on the overall economic health of Kentucky.
12 billion.
Yes.
And some of that's my money. I'm always sitting on go for things to see and do. Scottie Ellis with the Kentucky Department of Travel and Tourism is my guest, and we'll explore more when we come back. This is Kentucky Afield Radio. This is Kentucky Afield Radio. My name is Charlie Bagman, and Scottie Ellis is in the studio with me. We're talking about ideas for weekend getaways for fall in Kentucky. She is with the Kentucky Department of Travel and Tourism. And I'll hand it to you, Scottie, for you and your website. It's the one place to go before you go anywhere. It's incredible.
And I did that before you came, just to get some notes, and I got too many pages of notes. I'm thinking like 11 pages. We can't talk about everything. But you have this website, a search tool, that you can put in what you want to do, if that's fishing or outdoor adventure or things for families. You can tell me about how that search engine works.
Yes, so our website, KentuckyTourism.com, is a really big resource for those looking to come to Kentucky. We've done a excellent job of using those keywords and optimizing your search. And so when you type in exactly what you're looking for, a number of events will pop up, a number of area locations will pop up, so that way you can easily plan your trip. One of our biggest things is we do areas by interest. If you're looking for the outdoors, we have adventure. If you're looking for more of the culinary, we've got the food. And of course, every trip you have to have the food and the outdoor adventure. So it's a great way to plan that overall trip. And then another thing is our mobile site. Everybody now is using their phones, even to plan this big trip where you'd think you'd automatically go to the desktop, but that's no longer the case. And so our mobile site actually this past year got rated the #1 site by Web Awards, and we were very pleased with that.
As you should be.
And the biggest thing for that was it's very easy to navigate.
Now, this is not an app. It's just a mobile website.
Yes, so we do not have an app at this time. That may come later, but right now our mobile site is really doing the job, and that way people can go to it when they need it. It's not taking up space on their phone. We don't want to become a problem. We just want to be there when people want to come to Kentucky.
And so that tourism website is?
It's KentuckyTourism.com, and that is Kentucky spelled out. KentuckyTourism.com. Yes.
And if you go to that, your browser automatically knows if you're on a phone or a tablet or if you're on a desktop. Is it used differently depending on the device?
Yes. So if you are on an iPad, it's going to automatically fit that iPad and line up in a way that it makes sense. So you won't have to use your fingers to adjust the size of it. It's going to automatically fit the device you're using, and that way you don't have to worry about getting this or like zooming in on this little area of information. It's right there. It's the size you need it, and you can start your planning.
When I was looking, I was on a desktop, and I went to the search engine, and I can't remember all the fields you want to populate, but it said, when you want to know what's going on, what type of place, you could sort this by city, and there were any number of ways to sort all the information. And so I put in nature and wildlife for like September through November, and it came up with scads of things. And in addition to that, I had the option to print it out. It's well worth getting on there and just playing around.
Yes.
You might find some things that you just didn't know about.
That's the best thing. We're so lucky to be in this area because I'm always looking at our website for work just to find things to talk about when we're out and about and informing the audience. But then I find things and I think, well, I didn't even know that was going on. Kentucky is blessed with a lot of events and different adventures that you can really take advantage of.
In Kentucky, fall festivals are a wonderful way to spend Saturdays.
Yes, absolutely.
I will go to probably 4 or 5 every fall. But I like to go in and see the arts and the crafts, see the temperament of the people, try the local food. It's fun. Just to get in the car, maybe set out a couple hours from home and say, well, what's going on within a 2-hour drive? Figure that out. And you've got that there. Fall festivals. Can we talk about that a little bit?
Yes, we have so many festivals going on in the fall. It's really amazing. And there's something for everyone. Like you said, the arts and crafts, that's a really big one. And, of course, in Louisville, October 3rd through 5th, they have the St. James Art Fair, which is in downtown Louisville, in the old Louisville area. It's huge. They have artists from all over come around. And that's a really big event. But then, we've also got some smaller ones that go on that are surrounded by like food and music. Jerusalem Ridge Festival is also in that early October time slot from the 2nd to the 5th of October, and that's in Rosine, where of course Bill Monroe was born. He's the father of bluegrass.
You know there's good music there.
Oh yeah, you know it. You couldn't beat that. And I'm telling you, not only good music, but you'll go there and meet the people of Rosine, and they know all these stories about Bill Monroe and all the musicians that played with him. You can't beat an experience like that.
Can you run into somebody like Ricky Skaggs just sort of sitting there eating an apple?
I think you can. I have not seen him when I have been myself, but I've heard stories of people who are there and they look over and there's someone just as big as Ricky Skaggs, if not him. And so it's really something. These musicians really value that festival, and a lot of others here throughout the state. But that is a really big one that people really flock to. So you could look around and see a star.
So that's Eastern Kentucky.
Yes.
Talk about, we ought to cover the state. I know you're looking at a list.
In Paducah, in September 25th through the 27th, they have a barbecue on the river. Of course, they've got that gorgeous riverfront, and this is your type of event. You said you go where the barbecue is.
Right.
So Paducah, late September, they've got the big barbecue, and they've got the big, smokers and the pork and everything you could want in a festival like that. And then as you move on, Hopkinsville actually has a neat event. It's Trails of Tears in Tribal Powwow, and this is a really historically important event. It features Native American storytelling, tribal dancing, and then you can take part in the wood carving and bow making. And so that's a really cool event that you can take part in. You're not just walking around. You get to take something home that you made with your own hands. And that's early September, the 6th through the 7th.
All right, tell me about this one, Scottie Ellis.
Okay.
In Fulton, talking about barbecue country. Here we go. Fulton, Kentucky Banana Festival.
The Banana Festival, yes. So that's an interesting one, not something that we often have here in Kentucky.
I've never been to that part of Costa Rica.
I haven't either. So it looks like this is 50 years. In 2013, they celebrated 50 years of the Banana Festival. And so it is a history. Oh, they've even got a history of the Banana Festival documentary on their website, so you can see, through the years and what it's all about. But this is one that I have not been to myself, and so maybe it's an adventure for us both to take in the fall.
Definitely. The fall festivals in Kentucky is the topic right now on this part of the show, and we're sort of bouncing around, and that's well and good. What else is on your list worth checking out?
So we talked about barbecue, but of course, Kentucky Fried Chicken, Colonel Sanders, the World Chicken Festival is in Kentucky. It's in Lebanon, and it is September 25th through 28th. 8.
Right there in Lebanon.
Right there. And so you can be filled up on chicken. Of course, you know, the history of Colonel Sanders will be very apparent throughout the festival, but I think mostly you just go and you take advantage of all that good food around you.
I've spent a few days in Lebanon.
So the World Chicken Festival in Lebanon is September 25th through September 28th.
There's a lot going on that weekend.
Yes.
So you have to pick and choose.
You do have to pick and choose. It's pretty unfortunate because they're pretty hard. But, you know, this could be a fun road trip time because a lot of them last about 3 days. So a great idea is to get on the road and you can hit one festival for one day and then go on to the next spot and take advantage of the next one if you're really looking for an adventure.
These fall festivals sort of center around harvest time. They center around harvest of animals like deer season or turkey. Mm-hmm. And they reflect that sometimes in their name.
Yes, they do. They do.
I remember from Carrollton, where I'm from, now I haven't been up there for the festival, they had a fall tobacco festival.
Oh, how fun.
And I found it here on your website, the Carroll County Tobacco Fall Festival. Carrollton, that's just put in the search box there on your website. Carrollton is up in northern Kentucky, sort of. What's going on there? Festival with amusement rides, arts, crafts, a flea market, games, a parade. Parade's always a great time. I rode my bicycle in that parade. I was my 8. Put a card in the spoke of the wheel. It was cool. Food vendors, much more music, live music, dare I say. October 3rd, 4th, and 5th. We're chatting about fall adventures in Kentucky with Scottie Ellis from the Kentucky Department of Travel and Tourism. More after the break. I'm Charlie Baglin, and this is Kentucky Afield Radio. You can always find us on Facebook. Give us a suggestion or comment. Go to Facebook search box and put in Kentucky, spell it out, Afield Radio. Like us, and you'll like us. It's time now for our fishing report.
This is Tom with your fishing report from the Northeast. Cave Run Lake is in the upper 70s, low 80s. They've been pulling fairly hard at the dam. Bass fishing has picked up recently with anglers fishing anything from crankbaits to Texas rigged worms, mainly in the 10 to 15 foot depth of water and around deeper structure. Muskie action has been picking up as well. Fish fast moving baits like rattle traps and bucktails. And crappie fishing has slowed back to a crawl as these fish have started moving into their fall pattern. Out of Grayson Lake, anglers have been catching some nice largemouth bass. These fish are deep when the lake is holding and come up shallow when it's on the rise. We've also had some good reports of anglers getting into some hybrids out at Grayson. This warmer weather should keep that action going. Catfishing is about at its peak at Greenbow Lake and Grayson Lake. Greenbow can produce some nice stringers of fish from the bank, and Grayson is one of the best places to jug fish in the district. That should do it for us in the Northeast. Wherever you go, good luck and stay safe.
This is Kevin Fry with your Eastern Area Fisheries Report. With lakes coming back down, look for good fishing for catfish to resume. Upper lake areas are producing catfish in good numbers with cut bait fish 2 to 3 feet down in channels and on edge of channel to shallow mud flats. This is working well for blue and channel catfish at Dewey Lake. Flathead catfish reports from Fish Trap Lake have been fairly good, using live bluegill as bait. Muskie action continues to be good up lake towards Trace Branch at Buckhorn Lake. White bass at Dewey Lake have been in catches in Main Lake and mouth of coves. Most recent largemouth bass reports were finding keeper fish during the day at 12 to 15 foot near the thermocline. Dusk and dawn time periods were finding some keeper bass at shallower 2 to 5 foot depths and better shoreline fishing action.
Hi, this is Eric Cummins with your Southwest Kentucky Fishing Report. Barren River Lake, the bass bite is best at night or early and late with top waters. Crappie fishing has also been fair at night under the lights in 15 to 18 foot of water with minnows and jigs. Bluegill have been good on bluff banks and with waxworms, crickets, or redworms. Green River Lake bass have been best at night with top waters and medium crankbaits and finesse baits. Crappie also have been fair under lights with minnows and jigs, again in about that 18-foot range. Cumberland tailwater trout fishing has been excellent with spinners. Striper action is still good from Burkesville downstream, trolling or drifting with bait. As always, good luck and good fishing. Be sure you wear your life jacket.
Fall fall fun, fall getaways, fall excursions, vacations. We talk about it all. We talk about Kentucky as a destination for fall. After the break.
I don't know what you mean by skipper.
Skipper? Skipper. Skipper.
Skipper. Hey, Skipper. What? Don't skip the life jackets.
Life jackets. You're right. Thanks for the reminder.
Water officers everywhere remind you, your life jackets got your back.
And the backing of everyone that wants you to come home alive.
So, Skipper, don't skip the life jackets. A public service message from your Kentucky Department of Fish and Wildlife.
Uncle Chuck, what is fall?
Fall means football, but excitement doesn't end there. This is when Kentucky's outdoors are just getting started. The Kentucky Department of Fish and Wildlife reminds you lakes and streams are alive with fall fishing. And for many, the biggest game of the season is white-tailed deer. Get your fishing and hunting license and get your game plan together this fall. Take aim on a winning season at fw.ky.gov.
Kentucky Afield Radio, thank you so much for joining me. I'm Charlie Baglin. Scottie Ellis is in the studio. We have ideas on weekend getaways for Kentucky in the fall. And where does the Kentucky Bourbon Distilleries and the Bourbon Trio fit in?
Okay, so, of course, Kentucky Bourbon. So there's the Kentucky Bourbon Festival in Bardstown.
Where, when?
Bardstown. And it takes place September 16th through the 21st. So this is a longer one. Mm-hmm. And they've got a lot of events. You know, a lot of the distilleries go to the Bourbon Festival and they take part in it. They've even got barrel racing. And you can see some of the master distillers from the distilleries that you've come to know and love out there pushing these barrels to win a prize. And then they've also got master distillers who come and speak. They do seminars at the festival. In Bardstown, the Kentucky Bourbon Festival, it's a good one to plan for.
You know, you'll hear us mention these cities, Paducah, Fulton, wherever it may be, Bardstown. Getting there is part of the fun, is sort of the point I'm making. Yeah. If you want to get on some of the parkways, interstates, back roads would be a great place to do this. Just to get on the back roads and see what you see along the way to Lebanon, Springfield. And you'll be pleased with going and coming, not just what you see when you're there.
Oh, that's the truth. You know, you can drive through Lexington and the beautiful horse farms, and then, you know, eastern Kentucky, you drive through the mountain ways and see the beautiful trees. But, you know, Kentucky also has these scenic byways, and there's 20, and they're remarkable roads. And they go through the byway system in Kentucky, and 6 have even been included as national designations. And so they really showcase Kentucky's history, geography, and then, you know, the cultural wonders. And there's several that go throughout the state. One of the best ones, Red River Gorge Scenic Byway. It's 46 miles between Stanton and Zachariah on Kentucky 1177. And you'll get to see everything from the stone arches, caves, water flows. But then there's also, you know, the Lincoln Heritage Scenic Highway, which travels 71 miles through 6 communities, and it goes through central Kentucky.
Neat. Are these pointed out on your website?
Yes. So if you go to KentuckyTourism.com, you can search in that search box that we talked about, scenic byways, and there's about 20 of them, and they each offer something different. So, you know, if you are interested in Civil War history, you can plan your trip around this highway, and you can see, you know, where Abraham Lincoln was born. You can see stops on the Civil War and these different things, because, of course, you know, Abraham Lincoln was raised in Hodgensville, but it's a great way for you to plan your trip and still get something while you're driving along.
I failed to print out all of the festivals. I was doing things like elk viewing tours and things you can do at Natural Bridge. But the festivals, they have my attention. On your list, I know there are going to be some more goodies. What else do you have?
So the big one this fall is the It's in Louisville, and it's the Centennial Fest of Steamboats. Of course, the Belle of Louisville is turning 100 this year. She's turned 100, and so this fall they're having the big Centennial, and that takes place October 14th through 19th.
What kind of party is that going to be?
Oh, it's going to be a big, big bash, and it will be on the Louisville riverfront. You know, they'll even have the steamboat race. They've got quite a few coming in for that, but it's really going to be a week-long celebration of the Belle, the history. If you've been on it, she's a beauty, and she still looks brand new. It's amazing to think she's 100 years old.
100 years old, the Belle of Louisville. So there'll be some other big steamboats in there, like I guess the Delta Queen, maybe? I'm just hoping. Yes,
quite a few others are coming. You know, there was some change-ups, and so as we get closer to fall, they'll really firm those up, but it will be a really big celebration, and people from all over are coming to this because, you know, these steamboats are such a rich part of our history here in the U.S., and we're really lucky to have the Belle right here in Kentucky where you can go and take advantage of that. And this one will be a fun one.
And the dates on that again?
The Centennial Fest of Riverboats is taking place in Louisville from October 14th through 19th.
Name a couple more.
Okay, the Spoonbread Festival in Berea.
All right.
So Berea, of course, has Boone Tavern. They're famous for the spoon bread, so it's a little something different. And it's taking place September 19th through 21st. They have a lot of events. They've got like a car show, but then they've also got a spoon bread eating contest. I don't know if I could enter into that one.
I can hear the music playing right now.
Oh, yeah.
Spoon bread eating contest.
Mm-hmm. It should be an exciting thing to see. I've never watched an eating contest in person, so this might be my first one.
Well, I've seen the hot dog eating contest from Coney Island, New York, 4th of July, on TV.
That's right. I've seen that on TV. That's a big one.
Hey, by the way, when I was in radio in South Carolina, this was 1984, I won a Girl Scout chocolate chip cookie eating contest.
Oh, did you?
Indeed, I did. I was proud. Somewhere I still have a picture of me shoveling them in.
That's pretty impressive.
It was amazing. I don't think I won anything other than the honor.
Yes.
But you talk about witnessing eating. I did it that day.
And they were Girl Scout cookies?
Girl Scout chocolate chip cookies.
Well, that's not a bad thing to have to eat either.
What else is on our list to do this fall?
So those are the really big ones. There's also another barbecue festival that I don't want to forget to mention. It's in Danville, and it's the Kentucky State Barbecue Festival, and that's September 5th through 7th. So more barbecue for you. You can pan that out and have barbecue just about every weekend in the fall in Kentucky.
How late typically do these festivals run? I know we're talking a lot in early October and late September. Do they stretch, say, into November? When do you really stop seeing them?
You know, for the big ones, you really stop seeing them around the end of October. They kind of wean out. But then a lot of communities do little pop-up events. Louisville's really good about this. You know, they'll have little community neighborhood festivals kind of pop up throughout the fall, November. They'll have the food trucks come around, but it's not something that's really designated. I think they wait and see how the weather is. Yeah. But the big ones, they really wean out around the end of October.
Wildlife is a big part of the state, and it can't be overlooked. And we talk about wildlife on the show a lot, and I'm glad to see that you have it mentioned all over your website at KentuckyTourism.com. Because when I was on there on your search engine, I typed in outdoor adventures and nature and wildlife and got all sorts of things you can do in Kentucky in the fall. And the first on my list is Elk Night in Prestonsburg.
Oh, yes.
Well, tell me about Elk Night.
So, you know, in Prestonsburg, you can go and do the elk viewing, which is something very rare. And on this side of the eastern state, this is the biggest area to really go and view elk. So this elk night, you can go over to Prestonsburg and take part in these events that surround that area and what you can really do there. And so it's a really great thing for those interested in viewing that part of the state. And so it's something that everybody should take advantage of.
What's the setting for Elk Night? Is it?
Elk Night is taking place in the May Lodge Dining Room. And so it's at the Jenny Wiley State Resort Park.
Jenny Wiley, it's out of that park that a ton of elk viewing tours originate.
Yes. Jenny Wiley is such a great park, and I highly recommend people take a chance to visit this, and this would be a great opportunity to do so. It looks like people are going to have a nice buffet full of some elk meat and all the fixings to include a pretty good planned out meal.
Elk summer sausage along with roast buffalo is to die for. I'm looking here at elk viewing tours, and they are, I have a full page of them. You don't expect anybody to write them down, but September 21, 27, 28th, October 18th, 19th, October 25th. I mean, they go on through, I've got here through November 29th.
Yes, they go late into the season.
And these are worth seeing. These are worth the lost sleep, because you will be up and on the road in these buses out onto the eastern coal fields. I'm wanting to say 45 minutes, maybe an hour before sunrise.
Yes.
Have you been on one?
I've been on one, and it's really quite impressive. I don't know what I thought I would get out of it going into watching this, but it was really something special. It's just not something you can see everywhere, and it's really a fun thing to do, and you're absolutely right. It's worth the loss of sleep.
You will be out there. Of course, this is fall, so it's going to be chilly in the mornings, especially that time. You will see elk with their antlers spread wider than you can spread your arms. It looks like you're holding your arms in the air, saying touchdown. They're that big, hanging off a bull elk's head. And there may be several of them out there. They got steam coming out of their nose. The sun is just barely peeking through the fog and the clouds and starting to come up. Boy, it's gorgeous.
It is gorgeous. It looks like a picture out of a photo book.
You need to take a camera that works well in low light situations, maybe a pair of binoculars, but even seeing it with your own eyes, something you'll never forget.
That's very true. I was shocked by how large they are.
And you don't have to go through Jenny Wiley to see them. They're also offered out of Buckhorn Lake State Park.
Yes.
Anywhere else?
There are quite a few areas, but those are the two main ones that we really go through. But of course, if you're interested in going through other options, we've got all of those listed out on our website at KentuckyTourism.com.
Fall events, fall fishing, fall hunting trips, fall festivals, fall colors. More in our final few with Scottie Ellis. I'm Charlie Bagman. This is Kentucky Afield Radio. We're back on Kentucky Afield Radio. Charlie Bagman in with Scottie Ellis with the Kentucky Travel and Tourism Department. And Scottie, we'll just talk until we run out of time. The subject is vacation destinations for fall inside Kentucky. Wildlife, of course, a big part of that.
Birds, of course. Here in Kentucky and in the fall, during the process while they're migrating, you can really catch a few good glimpses. At parks.ky.gov/birding, you can even get the 2014 field checklist. So if you're a really big bird watcher and you want to go out and see the different species taking flight, this is a really cool thing to do. You can challenge yourself. And then also underneath the checklist, we've got the different areas listed of where you can see them, and then you can click and view the eBird species information. So you can kind of plan out where you need to go to make sure you get that checklist full.
Birds and butterflies also migrate. I'm trying to remember the species. Is it monarch? Is it viceroy?
I think it's the monarch, but I could be wrong on that.
I should know, but because I did a show on that very same thing back about 1998. And I can't remember. I know what it looks like, but it's monarch or it's the viceroy. If I say one, it'll be the other. I'm just looking at my list. You know, my favorite thing in fall, talk about holidays, is Halloween.
Yes, that's a fun one.
There's some things on here if you want to go out and about and see what's going on in Kentucky in Halloween. And don't overlook Kentucky for a lot of the good stuff of Halloween, like black widow spiders and owls and snakes. We have all that stuff here.
We sure do. You know, I actually grew up in a state park. My mom was the manager of John James Audubon State Park in Henderson, so we lived on the park. And one of my favorite things to do as a kid during Halloween was they had a Halloween trail walk. And they'd have the animals out there so you could see and learn about them as you go through the trail. And of course it was really dark and they kind of made it spooky, but it was so much fun and it was my favorite Halloween event.
That sounds cool. Now this was at night?
Yes, it was at night, and they'd have the lights, and they'd have it guided. And, of course, you know, they had the animals and with the naturalists there who could do that. But then they also, to make it fun for the kids, they had local performers who were dressed up in costumes. And not too spooky, but, you know, they'd tell stories, and it was a fun Halloween event.
There's some things about Halloween that people, that's end of October. Let's say it's cold. People get scared of snakes. Now, I had the snake biologist from the Department of Fish and Wildlife on the show, and he says at night, snakes really, it has to be warm for a snake to be active. They're cold-blooded. And end of October, at night, they're not active.
No,
you really don't have to be worried about a snake coming to get you.
Not at all, not at all. You're safe.
Now, I've seen these Halloween walks come up. Halloween Adventure Quest in Corbin is one of them, October 25th. Halloween Ghost Walk and History Tour in Harrodsburg, Kentucky.
Yes, and they dress up in Harrodsburg when you take part in this. They dress up in period clothing, so it makes it more fun. You know, they kind of play the part as they take you around and show you the background.
There it is. I found it. Well, we'll have to harken back here to the monarch butterfly migration mysteries. This is going on in your hometown, Henderson.
Oh, in Big Henderson, Kentucky. Is it at the park, John James Audubon?
Doesn't say. I'd have to click on it, and it's printed on paper. But I bet it is.
I think that might be where it takes place, actually. And, you know, I haven't been able to visit this, but that might be my must-do this fall. You know, also, at Frankfort, Kentucky, Buffalo Trace, they've got the big ghost tours that go on at night. Of course, this is a National Historic Landmark, so there's a lot of history that goes on, but they take you through the old distilleries and tell you stories about the paranormal activity that they've seen. So it's something of an adventure as well.
Halloween is a wonderful time. One of these days, I will convince my wife of that.
No, is she not so much a
No,
fan?
she doesn't. Her name is Pam, and it's sort of funny. We have these 3 jack-o'-lanterns that we plug into the electricity and put out in the bushes. And there are 3 of them. And we'll go out and say, well, Pam, let's go out and take a look and see how they look at night. And so I'll go out there, and we'll be looking, and I'll under my breath start saying, Pam, Pam, Pam.
Oh, no.
And she'll get nervous.
She does not like this time of year, and you play off of it.
It's funny. It's funny. I love Halloween.
One of my favorite things to do around Halloween is go to the orchards. You know, we've got so many orchards here in Kentucky, and you can go and pick the pumpkins. You can have the apple cider. You know, a lot of times they've got slides and things for the kids. And so it's a really fun time to be in Kentucky in the fall. And there's a lot of great orchards throughout the Kentucky. Of course, you know, over in Georgetown, Kentucky, you've got Evans Orchard. And then Jackson's Orchard in Bowling Green is a big one there around that area, too. So that's a fun thing to do.
Autumn is a great time to get outside and enjoy nature and wildlife in this state. No question about that. Scottie from the Department of Travel and Tourism, I know that there are some things that you want to talk about, and as you were saying to yourself on the way over, I hope Baglin asked me, because if not, I'm going to find a way to bring it up. What's on that list? So
some of my favorite things to do during the fall are go on some hiking trails, and I think that's just because of the colors, and we talked about how vibrant the colors are during the fall in Kentucky. But there's some really great trails that I would recommend people take advantage of, especially in the fall. And one of those is Pine Mountain. Pine Mountain State Park in Pineville, Kentucky, they've got 12 miles of self-guided tours. And so it's a really great opportunity to go out and hike a trail that suits you, all levels, all different distance types. But I mean, what better way to see those colors? Yeah, I think it's the greatest thing that you can do during the fall.
Hopefully we have whetted some appetites for getting out and exploring the state in the fall. And your website is a very good place to start. And what's that web address?
That is KentuckyTourism.com. And also, we're very active on Facebook and Twitter. And you can get a lot of ideas and inspiration from those because people are posting photos and taking all of these great shots of when they're out and about. And you can see something that you might not have thought of. And then you can go to our website and you can research it and plan a trip of your own.
Okay, do you text and drive? I forgot to ask.
I do not text and drive. I'm very against it.
That's a good girl. Scottie, thanks a million for coming by.
Thank you for having me.
We are out of time. This is Charlie Baglin inviting you to join us in a week, and we will go inside outdoors again here on Kentucky Afield Radio.